everybody, and welcome inside to League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys today, looking at the last day of the group stage, coming at play-ins from 2018 Worlds. It's back to Group B and A to close things out. And obviously the story of the first time these teams all played was G2 versus Supermassive. They were the first Pool 1 seed to drop a game, and the only one to do it up to this point. So obviously a little bit of anxiety for EU fans. They don't want to be finishing second in here because you're going to be facing, someone that's probably very good and much better than any of these second seeds. So a lot of pressure on G2 coming into the last day.
Certainly a lot of pressure on the G2 squad. Need to find their way to some victories, making sure that they get out of here, get out of this, and make sure that they're, in good form heading into these group stages, because certainly important, and would love to see them helping lead the European charge at Worlds.
And luckily for them, they get the toughest game out of the way early. First game of the day was G2 Supermassive. Obviously, Supermassive implications on this one for the first seed. Supermassive 2-0, G2 1-1 heading into this one. And we get Jankos on his Olaf, which is always fun to see, and an Urgot in the top lane. That never changes. But even though G2 went 1-1 on their first day, Jankos in the early game was an absolute animal, and he was in this one too.
Yeah, this is exactly the Jankos that you want to be seeing if you're a G2 fan. Getting that early advantage on something aggressive that Olaf helps himself out. This is not what you know about Jankos. This is the jungler that goes in and gets his laners the advantage using that early aggression. And oh boy, it pays off for G2. They find another fight here at the Rift Herald and they pick them off.
Yeah, and Wonder's Urgot was getting insanely fed. And here, for some reason, Supermassive says, let's trade an Infernal Dragon for Baron. That seems fair.
Who's teaching you this economics of trading here, Supermassive? Because I'll tell you what, that is not in any world 10 out of 10 times. That is not a good trade. Yeah, you get to kill off Wadid here. Congratulations, but you just traded an Infernal Dragon for Baron. Not a smart move.
So the story of this was Supermassive. Zeitnot got really fed on the Caitlyn, but he was the only one able to do any damage. And before we went here, Mark, you really loved GBM's Cassiopeia build in this game.
Bro, you need to check it out if you can here, and if you can stomach it. I know this is a lot to ask, but you need to look at this Cassiopeia build here, because oh boy, he's built a Spirit Visage in the mid lane in this matchup. Huh. I know that Orianna is beating you up pretty hard here. Perks is that split push Orianna that we've never seen before. But I gotta tell you what, Spirit Visage on Cassiopeia in this game is simply unacceptable. I get flamed when I build an Abyssal Mask playing Cassiopeia in ARAM. How are you gonna build a Spirit Visage here at Worlds?
Yeah, he obviously did absolutely no damage in any of these fights. It was all on Zeitnot to basically 1v5 all these fights. Unable to do it. It's tough to do against an Urgot when he gets incredibly tanky like that. But yeah, Perks absolutely manhandled that mid lane matchup. Definitely got the better of GBM in this one. And Jankos is unfazed by it, but G2 get an absolutely necessary win to tie Supermassive in the standings at 2-1. And then if they both go 2-0 today, they'll be forcing a tiebreak for that top spot.
Yeah, there were some shaky moments in that match from G2. As soon as they had acquired some early leads, Supermassive found a way to kind of claw their way right back into that matchup. But you did have to say throughout those later team fights, it certainly was G2's game to lose. They were the ones in control. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Jhin, Yarnan, doing some really good work there. I thought a lot of people would be criticizing him and Wadid's performance so far at Worlds. I think they redeemed themselves in this one. Were able to keep pacing towards the later game and dish out some important damage.
And Zeitnot and Snowflower still a small advantage in that bot lane, but across the rest of the map, it was heavily in G2's favor. If you go back to day one, you remember that Infinity Esports, they were dealing with jet lag, they had visa issues, so they got to the tournament late, and as a result, they looked like probably the worst team in the tournament on day one. They started off 0-2, and they start off their second day with a matchup against EDG, who are obviously the massive favorites coming out of this group. So not the easiest way to start your day, but luckily they got a couple days of rest now in Korea, so that's good.
Yeah, hey, always good to get some sleep. They got some Korean barbecue in them.
That's
They're
what
feeling
you need.
Good. Everything is looking good for an Infinity Esports. The only downside, of course, you got to go up against the juggernauts again in EDG.
Yeah, again, huge favorites, not only just for this group, but probably the best team in the entire tournament heading into this one. And EDG rocking the Fiora for Ray. Love seeing him on carry champions.
Always love to see Ray on the carry champions. Remember when he was with Cloud9, that's why he was there, to play the carry champions, keep impact on a tank. But in this one, Infinity Esports getting jumped on early.
Yeah, there was a lot of action in the bottom lane. It's the TP from Scout that's going to grab them a kill here. And then the early game was all EDG getting a pretty sizable lead. And then it explodes in this team fight in their jungle where they're going to come away with a whole bunch of kills. They get low, but they're not, Infinity's not able to finish off any of the kills. I mean, Sion gets 1 kill, but that's not
Does
quite
that really
the ideal.
count?
No, and then Ray grabs a couple more kills, and it ends up being an over 7,000k gold lead for EDG. But we know what happens when EDG has gold leads and they're against a Rakan.
Yeah, as soon as you're feeling super confident in EDG,
Whoa.
they pull the rug out from underneath you. This is the EDG I remember from the summer split right here. Just disconnected plays, and oh boy, it's exciting to watch Infinity Esports turn this one around, and this team fight, this ace, was really one of the most exciting moments I've seen so far at Worlds.
And something else we didn't mention is that Haru got the start in this one over Clear Love, and that's why their aggression was so crazy in the early game, but sometimes they go a little bit too ham. That turns into a Baron for Infinity. They run it down mid and say, let's just dive. We got Baron buff. It's still somewhat early in the game. Let's just start diving with the Nocturne, and the Irelia starts getting some resets. She started 0-3, finishes the game 6-3.
Oh man, Kotopako was really knocking it off here in this one. He was just destroying in the later parts of this game. So one of the craziest things and most fun thing to watch about his Irelia play was he was absolutely nailing all of those resets that you want to be having on those dashes. Man, that was an exciting one. And hey, this is a massive upset here in this one. Huge victory for Infinity Esports. Hey, they get that good night of sleep, get that good Korean barbecue in you, and look what can happen.
Yeah, I want to know where they ate dinner in their days off, because day one, they looked like a bottom tier team domestically, and then they come into day two, first match of the day, and take down EDG. I don't think anyone was expecting the 3rd seed from the LPL to drop a game, but kudos to Infinity Esports. Even when they go down 7,000 gold, they come back and get a win against EDG. Fantastic from them.
Oh yeah, man, that is certainly right now going to be my moment of Worlds right there. An incredible upset. These are the matches, why you watch Worlds and why it is so hype and exciting to watch.
And one win isn't quite enough to get them out of the group, but coming up after the break, we'll see if they can ride that momentum from the upset and finish in that 2nd place above Direwolves in their group. What's up, friends, and welcome back to League Unlocked. Erica Mark with you, continuing our look back at day 4 of the play-in stage from Worlds, the final day of group stage action. And after G2 got some redemption, a win against Supermassive, they were back on the Rift to keep fighting for that top spot out of the group against Ascension in the 3rd match of the day. And Ascension has looked pretty bad. They've looked like one of the worst teams at the event. I think they looked a lot better at MSI than they have at this event.
Yeah, I think maybe the only team here that has had a weaker start would have been the start that Infinity Gaming had, but certainly as you just saw, they reached the new highs here at the Worlds. We only need to see if Ascension Gaming can match them and reach it.
Yeah, and even taking down Supermassive, not quite as big an upset as EDG, but nonetheless, Supermassive still big favorites in this one, and they hold somewhat their own destiny to still finish in that top spot. We've got a Corki, which is something you don't see very often, and a Jarvan. J4 for Stomaged, and obviously the bot lane for Supermassive is their strength. They grab first blood.
Once again, absolutely the power for Supermassive comes from this duo in the bottom lane, and it's what the Ascension Gaming want to punish here later on in the game. But hey, I'm telling you, Supermassive has the strength to pull through.
Yeah, we had Lloyd on the Gragas, and again, I just want to say Lloyd used to be the AD carry for this squad. He pulled a score and swapped to jungle. Hasn't quite had the success of score yet, but he looks good there, picks up a couple of kills, but GBM comes in and cleans up some duty. And check out his Galio here. This 4-man taunt completely turns the fight around. That is just cleanup duty now for Supermassive.
That's where GBM's like, bro, you got a problem with me building a Spirit Visage in the other game? Let me show you something else here. And I'm saying, yeah, this is what I want to be seeing from you. None of that Spirit Visage type of crap. I like this. This is what I want to see. This is the Supermassive that you want to be seeing pick up this victory.
I kind of want to see Spirit Visage on Galio, though. That could work.
Yeah, Galio, that's okay.
Yeah.
Cassiopeia, what are you doing?
He was scared that Perks was going to beat up on him. So Supermassive moves to 3-1. Ascension eliminated for moving on to the knockout round. But the pressure now goes on to G2 to follow suit when they play Ascension later on and keep pace with Supermassive at 3-1. We mentioned the upset that Infinity did against EDG. We thought they had no chance of getting out of groups. Dire Wolves looked like they were set to do it after going 1-1. Schernfire was banned for both those games, but he's back now on day 2, matching up against Infinity. And a win for Dire Wolves pretty much puts them in the driver's seat to get out of the group. But Infinity is riding high after taking down EDG.
Oh yeah, if you're an OPL Dire Wolves fan here, you're feeling pretty confident given that, hey, day 1 went actually pretty well for you, going 1-1 there, splitting that record with Schernfire suspended for those games. Now you got him back in the lineup. The rest of this team should be going pretty well here, and you're feeling good about it.
And Schernfire on the Skarner in this game, but the 2v2 in the mid lane does not go so well here. Nocturne and LeBlanc a little bit stronger than Skarner Lysandra, it turns out.
Certainly a better skirmishing duo than the other two there, and they help Infinity Esports pick up that advantage there early on, and oh boy, they keep looking for these advantages, and I want to say, oh man, Renyu on the Kaisa here seems to be a damage monster.
Yeah, it's funny that a theme is pick Kaisa and look like you're a all-star AD carry and world class. Just on that champion. He was rookie of the split though, and is one of the featured guys. Everyone's trying to compare him to White Lotus as an AD carry out of Latin North America, but he got pretty insanely fed. Look, Urgot's killing people, but the story was the Kaisa, and oh no, Mark, we got a lot of kills coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Double?
kills gonna be coming here. Hey, let's add them up.
Triple?
Oh.
Can he do it? Quadra, remember last year, White Lotus got a pentakill on Kalista.
There it is.
And this time, it's Renyu grabbing one himself to close out the game.
Heyo.
I mean, not the craziest, most exciting penta, but it's a pentakill nonetheless. I'm pretty sure Kaisa, for how long she's been in the game, has more pentakills than 99% of other champions all time.
I'll tell you what, being someone who likes to play Kaisa and has had a couple pentakills, luckily enough, on Kaisa, that one looks very familiar. That's one of those ones where you pick up a couple kills and then you spend the rest of your time on your comms screaming at your teammates not to steal any more of your kills. Yeah. This one's mine. Some pretty awesome stuff there, and great to see Infinity Esports grab another victory. Tough luck for the OPL and the Dire Wolves there getting bounced in that matchup, but hey, you gotta say Infinity Esports rebounding this way into the second day here of action is really great stuff to watch.
Crazy turnaround from, they look like a totally different team compared to the first day they played. Now they go 2-0 in the last week. They're at 2-2. Dire Wolves fall to 1-2, and now they need a win against EDG to get a tiebreaker to get out of this group. And if they do that, it'd actually be a 3-way tiebreaker, which, that'd be spicy. EDG dropping another game seems tough, but Dire Wolves, they've looked good except for that game. So that game looked very bad. They actually looked worse with Schernfire in the lineup. But next game we're moving on to G2 versus Ascension. Another must-win for G2 to keep that first place hope and dream alive, which is what EU really wants.
Yes, certainly what EU really wants here. And I think that if you're thinking about the G2 form that they showed in their match against Supermassive, you have to be feeling a little bit more confident than you were entering the day right now, because you're saying, hey, this is what I want to be seeing from my G2. But let me just say, Kassadin right into your face. That's not what you want to be seeing early. But hey, if you've got your some help nearby, it could be okay, but it's not enough help.
It's a 1v2, he's turning this around. G4 popping off on the Kassadin. Wonder eventually shows up, but it's too late. Double kill, that is worth. You're getting a double kill at level 6 for Kassadin. Ascension was picking on Perks. That's a 3-man dive. He's level 7. He was way down in CS. And Ascension, they draft Vayne and Kassadin. And then they play super aggressive in the early game. Very interesting strategy.
Yeah, certainly a very interesting strategy there. But you got to give them some credit on how they went in to some of those early kills, But this is where you
Jankos
start
is
to
so
see
fit.
it really turn around for G2, getting the pickoffs here as Ascension overextend on that dive in the top lane.
Yeah, they were going way too deep, and usually the story of G2 is Perkz hard carrying, but he got camped. He struggled in the early game. It was other members of G2 stepping up. You saw Jankos on the Taliyah doing some insane damage there, and Hjarnan on the Kaisa, who people love to meme about because he's got a 28% win rate in solo queue. Well, he looked pretty darn good in this game.
Yeah, 28%, that means you're winning sometimes at least. Hey, it's better than nothing, and this is better than nothing in this one. Tell you what, Hjarnan certainly earned his paycheck in this match. Definitely stepped up his performance when G2 needed it here. Perkz, of course, getting hard camped there. And as you mentioned before, Jankos was doing some pretty darn good work on that Taliyah in the jungle as well. But I do want to give my shout outs here to Hjarnan. Definitely a good performance from him.
And Jankos has been the MVP of G2 through 4 games at this event so far. Hjarnan did look a whole lot better there. It's just Kaisa, man. Everyone looks great on that champion. I feel like you could pick a random challenger player and throw him on a pro team. You get Kaisa, you look pretty good.
I'm not going to say if I agree with that or not because I don't want Riot Games to nerf Kaisa. I want to still be powerful down there, so no comment.
We got her for Worlds, so that's all you need. We'll have her playing at Worlds. But with that win, G2 moves to 3-1, which means they're forcing a tiebreaker against Supermassive. And coming up after the break, we'll take a look at that tiebreaker, the battle for first. You do not want to finish second and play one of these Pool 1 teams in the knockout round. Worlds 2018 rolls on. Welcome back to League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys, wrapping up day 4 action from the play-in stage. And the Direwolves versus EDG, you wouldn't think had much implications. But if Direwolves win, you got a 3-way tie in that group that you got to play a whole bunch of extra games to figure out who's going first and second. But, you know, EDG already upset earlier in the day. You know they're going to be a little bit angry heading into this one. They don't want to drop 2 in a row. They just don't.
Hey, you never want to drop 2 in a row. And especially, hey, if you're EDG, you cannot be upset twice in a row here against some of these teams in your group and against the Direwolves in this one. Gonna be an interesting matchup here. See how it plays out. But oh boy, it's some early skirmishes. And hey, EDG wants some of this.
I love level 1 fiestas. We got low health people flashing over the pit to dragon, but we're following. It's again Haru on the Camille getting insanely fed. And oh no, this is the ultimate tilter. Face checking a bush after you've already died. You die again.
Goodbye.
That is not a fun start for Schernfire. He had a rough couple of games in his return to the Direwolves, but this game got unbelievably out of hand very quickly. iBoy was disgustingly fed. Pretty much everyone was disgustingly fed. We had Scout on the Akali as well. This game was basically over in that level 1. As soon as they camped the bush and caught out Schernfire again, it was all over for the Direwolves. EDG's mad, and they're the victims.
Oh, EDG was mad, and iBoy for sure was mad because that's an 8-0-4 Kaisa coming through there from the bottom lane. That is a lot of damage numbers being pumped out there. And I gotta say, EDG, oh boy, were they ever angry to pick up this victory. And Eric said it earlier, I think you're absolutely right when you're looking at the Direwolves roster and how Schernfire performed in his return to the lineup. Simply not acceptable to the level of what you would expect from him and the Direwolves with him in the lineup, given what they had run before, and given the experience of his replacement, just never came through.
Yeah, he actually looked kind of like a downgrade when he came in to that lineup, but the 3-way tie dream is dead. EDG goes 3-1, they finish atop the group, and Infinity Esports, after going 2-0, they finished second, which is very surprising. Hey, it's not super surprising, but.
We talked about it. Get some good sleep, get some good Korean barbecue in you, and good things happen.
I gotta eat more Korean barbecue to, be better in life. That's the main lesson to learn from today's show. More Korean barbecue, you'll live a happier, probably not healthier, but a happier life.
Yeah, a lot more beef.
A lot more beef. That's the secret to it all. All right, it's time for the main event, the juicy tiebreaker of the day. G2 versus Supermassive, series 1-1 now, and now they're throwing down 3-1. They both beat up on Ascension. Winner finishes first and avoids playing an incredibly good team. And in the draft, G2 says, all right, we'll go Akali and Urgot, but oh wait,
what?
Last minute, we're doing the old flex on them. It's Perkz, Urgot, and Wonder on Akali, and they were picking on Fab Fabulous.
Yeah, this is where Fabulous is like, Nani? I've got 3 men up here, and this is not going to turn out well for me.
But you knew they were coming, and you still say, I'm going to face check. Oh, they're coming up? Let me go check. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Let me just say that actually the real big problem there with Fabulous in the top lane is ignore the 1 kill here. Look at that CS differential.
It was
already massive, and bruh, you're playing the Aatrox into the Akali. You should be winning this matchup.
Even before there was any jungle attention, he was down almost 15 CS in, you're right, a winning matchup. I need an ISO cam, an ISO stream on what happened in that top lane that he was down so much early, shoved under a turret. You should be winning that matchup, but this game just got out of control so quickly. Perks on the Urgot. I mean, against the Galio, that was an easy matchup for him. He got insanely ahead. And then Supermassive picked this pretty passive bottom lane in Ashe Braum that they couldn't do anything. GBM TP's in just to die.
And that's
why not?
Yeah, and that's absolutely the really strange thing here from this draft is that you've gone with the Aatrox in the top lane, which we've seen. G2 also knows as well that that's GBM likes to play that Aatrox in the mid lane, so they baited out that role swap there as far as getting him on the Galio. But then later to just pick up the Ashe and the Braum in the bottom lane. Why pick such a passive bottom lane for the strongest part of your team?
It makes no sense, and I'm sorry we had to blur that last play because it was not safe to be shown anywhere. G2 completely dismantles Supermassive. There was a decent amount of hype coming into this matchup, and it was over pretty much before the game started when you saw that draft. Perks and Wonder just absolutely had their way. The entire top half of that map, Jankos got the best of Stomaj again in back-to-back games. So that whole upper half of the map heavily in favor of G2, and they grabbed that top spot. Deservedly so.
Yep, grabbing that top spot, and I gotta say, go back and watch that last team fight, the non-blurred out version when you get a chance, but make sure you're not at work because, man, that was some dirty gameplay there. Really want to check it out.
A couple of times Perks went in 1v5 and died, but other than that, perfectly clean game from G2, and they got to be feeling good heading forwards. They got some momentum going into the knockout rounds, and those knockout rounds, they did the draw right after. They're already set. Starts off Cloud9 versus Gambit. Then you've got EDG taking on DFM from Japan. G2 gets Infinity Esports, and G-Rex versus Supermassive. Probably the most interesting matchup there.
Certainly looks to be the most interesting matchup, but I've got my eyes squarely on Cloud9, Gambit Esports,
NA versus EU.
NA versus EU, except this time, it's a little bit of a different matchup here. You've got Cloud9, Gambit Esports, some very storied franchises here in NA EU, but certainly looking like it's going to be in Cloud9's favor in this matchup. Definitely the draw that you wanted to have if you were a Cloud9 fan, because specifically looking at this one, I don't see yourself losing in any of these matchups. And then especially when you look into the mid lane matchup of Jensen into Kira. Oh boy, Kira has not been playing to the level that you would expect him to be, and Jensen is certainly going to be looking to punish that.
I think some of the biggest takeaways from all this group stage were some of the minor regions just playing a little bit too solo queue, going super aggressive, going for a lot of these kills. You saw it in some of the Ascension games where they would get a bunch of kills and still be down 5,000 gold pretty early on because opposing better teams were just sitting in lane, farming, waiting, getting objectives. So that was the main thing to take away, but now we're on to the knockout rounds, and Mark and I will be previewing them all on our next episode of League Unlocked, but that's all the time for today. Eric and Mark with you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the flippity flop.